sick. It's made you feel sick now?
No, when I ate it, I just thought, why did I eat that? Well, I didn't even want it. Someone gave it to me. I appreciate the sentiment, but
who gave you an Easter egg? Let's not talk about family. What else we call it? Beamish is here.
hello.
Sounding always Beamish. And the mighty Baleful, like a cloud passing over your sun. Not your sun, but the listener's sun. It's passing over the sun that shines on the listener to cast a dour note of seriousness. We're here to talk about the Kensington walk, which was a nice walk in its entirety, but not necessarily chock full of highlights. Like, if we just get straight to the crunch of it, I mean, the best thing was Jimmy Page's castle, wasn't it?
That, I mean, thinking back on the walk, that's out of the actual things we saw. There's other things that happened on the walk that were quite wild. But yeah, that was I'd say that's the kind of takeaway highlight. Yeah.
Well, it was the kind of place that you would want. To me, it was the kind of place that you would want Pagey to live in. I mean, it looked fucking satanic.
Well, it had this weird, which we mistook for like a little gargoyle, but it wasn't actually a gargoyle. It was a CCTV.
It was a CCTV disguised as a gargoyle.
It wasn't disguised as a gargoyle.
Yes, it was. It looked like a gargoyle. I've got a photo. It is
Well,
a gargoyle.
it's got a face.
Yeah.
I thought it just had like a lens.
No.
It's actually got a face.
Yeah.
Oh, right, I didn't realise.
And the camera's in its mouth.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
I thought it was just like a kind of camera-looking thing that you could mistake for.
No, and it's on a little pole, so I imagine there's somebody sits in a room and they can
Oh, right.
it up and down.
Do you think it's Jimmy doing that?
Yeah, he probably sometimes gives the security guard a
Let's
day
have a
off.
look at gargoyle cam.
Yeah.
Let's have a little look.
Yeah. Steve, mate, you take a day off. You take a day off, mate. Old Pagey's gonna. But I call him Cagey Pagey because I came home and I was thought, so I thought, have a listen to a bit of the old Led Zeppelin, and that led to listening to some interviews.
Oh, right. I don't actually like Led Zeppelin at all. I never liked them.
You don't like them at all?
They just don't. I don't know. I mean, I like A Whole Lot of Love, obviously. It's like a classic, but I mean, any other of their music, I don't know about it. Maybe I haven't listened to enough of it.
There's supposed to be a kind of an epic quality to it, an epic.
Yeah, that's the thing. I've never like. There's this band like Cream, and Led Zeppelin, like these sort of rock behemoth things. Like I never understood that. It never made any sense to me.
Well, I've never bothered with Cream. The only interesting thing to me about Cream is that he was too busy sniffing coke to mind his kid who fell out the window. And
I like Ginger Baker.
That was a good documentary, and his massive racist rant in 1970 something or other. Which makes me laugh. Not because racism is a good thing, just it's nice that
it's funny when he does it.
It's funny when people reach the end of their tether. It's always amusing. As long as you've got some distance from it. Okay, well, it's cagey because you know these few facts about him. He was on heroin. He did at one point have an underage groupie, you know, that they all shared about, all the rock stars.
I remember reading something about this. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know her name off by heart or anything like that. Bowie had a. He had a. There's the black magic angle, you know. So you got like a frame, but like nobody really knows Pagey, do you? You don't really know him. You know, you can sit down and watch an hour-long interview with him, and you think, oh, he's a very charming, nice guy. But then you don't. When you think about it, you haven't really got to the depths of the man. You know what I mean? It's all, it just gives you surface kind of stuff, you know. There was even this documentary where he was being interviewed by Jeff Koons. Not a documentary, an interview. Where that Jeff Koons is interviewing him, going through this photo book of like photos through the ages of like Pagey.
Mm-hmm.
And at the end of it, I didn't really feel like I'd you got to the meat of the man, you know what I mean? I mean, I guess like you're certainly not allowed to ask about the underage groupie, and you're probably not allowed to, you know, because when you're that kind of a star, you can write in, yeah, I'll do the interview, but you can't ask me about those, you can't ask me about that.
Well, I think the same thing, yeah, it's the same thing with Bowie. It's like, he was like untouchable. It's like, yeah, don't mention that. Don't mention the grape of Tina Turner, supposedly. But all the rest of it. So, well, let's go back to the beginning then of the walk. Hold on. It was just the three of us. It's fine. Many are called, but few are chosen. Pardon me. It was going to be a larger walk, but people ducked out at the last minute, which is a shame. We missed. And we met at Kensington High Street Tube, I think. Mm-hmm.
I walked after we did the walk, I walked all the way home.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was nice actually.
How long did it take you to get back to Archway?
Oof. I'm going to say 2.5 hours.
Good old walk.
Yeah. I was hammered by the time I got back. I mean, I was hammered by the time I started. It was lovely walking through the, well, you know, lovely. I mean, what's lovely? But I mean, it was nice walking through the parks and all of that, down in Kensington End. Yeah. Kind of maybe wish I had a personal stereo, but I don't have one. Do you use
I used to love having a personal stereo, and I did have an MP3 player for a while, but what it is, because I've got a phone now, and
runs through the battery too much.
Yeah, and it's just, it's not the same. It's not the same.
Plus, I feel like music, it drags you, especially when you've had a couple of drinks, it drags you into a fantasy land where you think like, I mean, you see these like tarts and that, you know, going down the street with their things in, their earphones in and that, and you think, you just know that they're walking down the street thinking that everybody's looking at them, that everybody fancies them, that they're the best looking girl in the dance floor that is the street. You know, don't you? You just don't.
I remember when I first got a Walkman, I think I was about 10.
Yeah.
It's like my 10th or 11th birthday, I got my first Walkman. And it was almost like having a kind of superpower. Just listening to your favourite music in different contexts. It was, I really enjoyed it.
What was your favourite music back then? Then what was the first tape? What was the first tape you put into your first personal stereo?
My first tape. I don't know. First tape I ever had was Never Mind the Bollocks.
That was the first tape you ever had in your whole life?
Yeah, well, that I paid for.
That you paid for?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't your first tape. Your first tape was probably Jeff Love.
Well, no, I couldn't get that on cassette.
You could get Jeff Love on cassette?
Well, I didn't know who Jeff Love was at that point.
No, it's the kind of thing your mum and dad get you.
No.
Get Jeff Love.
Oh, I think my first album my dad bought me was Queen, Greatest Hits.
Did you like it?
Well, it was the only cassette I had. So
right.
My first ever like ears and music, and I mean, of course I listened to it. Yeah.
My brother got the first tapes we got for Christmas, and fucking my brother got the soundtrack album by Queen to Flash Gordon.
Oh yeah, this had Flash on it. I was aware of Flash, the song. I mean, that was probably one of my favourite track on there actually, because I remember it because I really liked the film when I was a kid.
Yeah.
I was really into it, and I really liked the girl in it.
Which one?
You know, what's her name? The evil princess.
Ornella Muti is the actress.
Yeah.
Princess Arden is the character. Yes, no, she was hot. He got that, and I got a tape of some bloke reading a Flash Gordon story called The Lion Men of Mongo. I was fucking mortified. Because like the good thing about that album was it had excerpts between the songs of dialogue from the film.
Yeah.
So it was almost like having the whole film again, especially in your child's mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that was my first cassette was Queen Greatest Hits, but my first record was soundtrack to Watership Down.
Wow. Did you like Watership Down then?
Yeah, I loved it.
When we went to see it, we got there like I have this memory of sort of seeing it twice or something, but coming in the first time just before the really brutal, isn't there a really brutal bloody scene?
Yeah, well they're getting ripped up.
Yeah. It's a sad film, isn't it?
It's really, I mean, when I think about it now, it's like, I'm surprised that it shouldn't have been a kids' movie. It's a bit too much, it's a bit too much.
Well, attitudes were a bit different then.
Yeah. But there's a bird in it, a seagull.
It rings a bell, yeah.
It's like I can't remember his accent, it's kind of like a European, Austrian or something. Can't remember his name. But he had like a theme. I really liked his theme on the record. That's one of my favourite tracks.
Right.
Apart from Bright Eyes, of course.
Have you heard the Hard House remix of Bright Eyes?
No, but I imagine it should be really good because I remember I played the first lines. Is it a kind of dream? I remember I sampled that and I sped it up. It did sound like happy hardcore.
Right.
Could definitely do it. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if it actually exists. I'm just making that up because
I had this idea to do it.
Gays have a habit of taking the childhood songs that they heard, and then
it would make a happy hardcore anthem, I'm sure.
I'm just going to pause for a moment because did you listen to that? I tagged you in a Top of the Pops performance. Did you not see it or not hear it?
What was it?
It was like a acid house version of Rhubarb and custard.
Oh Christ! Yes, I did see that. It was absolute shit. Absolutely awful.
I
Terrible.
loved it. I loved
No,
it.
I remember when that came out. Actually, I remember when that came out.
Yeah.
No, but the actual because the actual that Top of the Pops performance is dire. Because the actual record wasn't. I remember the
when
record
you were
being,
out at a rave, coming up on a rhubarb and
No,
custard.
but that was awful.
Fucking
It was
hell.
terrible.
I loved it. I actually really liked it. Cause
I liked
shit
Sesame's
things.
Treat. That was my favourite.
I like shit things. But the thing is, what the fuck is the woman wailing about in it? Like, you can't work it out, can you?
It's cringy.
I liked it. Alright, well, do you know this song called Geezer Got a Flamethrower?
No.
Alright, I'm just gonna pause, dear listener, and we're gonna listen to a tune. So we just had to listen to Geezer's Got a Flamethrower. I don't know the name of the band, but I like it a great deal. Did you enjoy it?
Yeah, like I said, it's like Stooges meets The Fall.
So look it up on YouTube, Pop Pickers. The Terrorizers coming up. Ricky Stitch, Mr. T for Terror, the Terrorizer. He's on his way up. So that should be a barrel of laughs. He's always got a lot to say. So we emerged at fucking Kensington Tube. That's where we were. And it says from High Street Kensington. Now it started now this was great, actually it was. Come on, you have to admit this. From High Street Kensington, underground station, cross over the road. Got.
Oh yes, and this
Up the
is where
Strange
we
Thing.
met the couple who were also doing the walk.
Yeah, because I was going to say, what do you mean that was odd? And I was going to ask you.
Yeah.
But this was a pure oddness.
Yeah,
about
yeah,
the whole
yeah.
thing.
So there was this old couple. I mean, yeah, they were. I mean, they're older than me. So I'm not being rude, but they were. How old would you reckon they were?
They were pensioners.
Yeah. This guy was really tall. He had like.
And his little bird with his little fur around.
Yeah, yeah, and he had this like kind of long grey hair. He reminded me. I don't know why. I just kept thinking of Tim Rice. And
I do not sign off on that. He did not
no,
remind me of Tim.
well,
Rice.
I wasn't saying I thought he was Tim Rice. Just he gave me Tim Rice vibes. But
What's a Tim Rice vibe?
he was giving them off. And it was just he was wearing
It
like.
must have been his multicoloured Technicolor dream coat that was doing
I
it.
think it was his suit actually. It was his sort of. He had like a beige suit on. I think that kind of.
No, but when he opened it up, it was Technicolor
Right.
on the inside, wasn't it? It was one of those double jointed suits that you could turn
But anyway,
inside out.
but they were. I think they were northern anyway, weren't they? They weren't southern.
He never said much.
Yeah, he was very sort of quite quiet.
He was taciturn, as they say.
And the woman was more talkative.
but not much more.
But she was.
she wasn't slutting it up. Like,
No, but she.
"Ooh, sexy
But she was
boy,"
not.
or
She was.
something.
She had a sort of northern
Yeah, I agree with that.
lilt. And they were doing the same walk that we were doing, and they just
Exactly
started.
the same walk at
and
exactly the same time.
Yeah, and they just started when we'd started doing, which is very odd when you think about it.
Well, it happened once before that but like we somehow met like halfway through.
But this was like right at the beginning.
This was right at the fucking
Yeah.
beginning. And when she spotted the book and knew the book, oh, you've got the book? Yeah, we've got the book. We had that little conversation, and I said, well, are you doing the walk then? And then she said yes. I thought she was joking because they just went and sat down.
Yeah.
But no.
No, they were doing the walk
They were
at the
doing
same
that.
time. But the funny thing that I thought was the different styles that people do it, because like you do it in a certain particular way. Obviously, other people just buy the book and they just sort of they just do it. Do you know what I mean? And I don't think they sort of don't make. They haven't got it like they don't make the sort of same ceremony over it that you do.
No, they're just
Just pottering about, enjoying their retirement. Let's do some London walks.
Yeah.
They weren't from London, I don't think, or they weren't from Kensington, definitely. But yeah, that was a strange turn of events. That
Yeah, there's more of her later.
yeah,
But or him and him as well.
Yeah.
So the first thing we saw was this the St Mary Abbots Church. It dates from 1872. Architect George Gilbert Scott. Other works include the Albert Memorial, Midland Grand Hotel, St Pancras. The spire is 278 feet high, the tallest spire of any church in London. But having said that, the church that reaches furthest up into the sky is in Highgate.
Highgate, yeah.
Yeah. The garden in the church grounds is a quiet place, largely unknown to the crowds who make High Street Ken one of the busiest and most upmarket shopping thoroughfares in London. The church stands on the site where Kensington originated as a village in the 8th century AD. That's a long, long time ago. Pardon me. The place name is possibly derived from a Saxon named Chenesit or Sinisinge, who founded a settlement, or in Old English, a tun, T-U-N. You can see how that tun would turn into town.
Yeah.
The combination of these words becoming Kensington. After the Norman conquest, the manor of Kensington was given to Aubrey de Vere, who sounds evil. Later, I'm not saying he is. Later, his son became very ill, but was cured by the abbot of the Benedictine Abbey of St Mary at Abingdon. In gratitude, the De Veres bequeathed the church, that's why it's called St Mary Abbots, and around 270 acres to the abbey, which continues to own the land until Henry VIII's dissolution of the monasteries in the 1530s. And we went into the church, didn't we? Anything to say? I've got a couple of snaps, which are the...
I had some nice stained glass. It was a nice church. I later went back there at the end of the walk to use the toilet there.
Do you want to wait till later to talk about that, or do you want to talk about it now?
There's not much to say, really. I went to use the toilet. It's busting. And
well, you did say we don't usually do this sort of thing.
yeah, no, they said... I went in there. I said, I'm really need to use the toilet. Do you mind if I use your toilet?
But they were actually prepping for a show, weren't they?
I don't know what they were doing, but there was...
Well, she was standing... She had a big tray out. It was like full of fibres and...
Yeah, I think they were counting the money or something.
No, they were getting... People were coming in for the show.
Oh,
and
right.
Money into the thing.
But there was no one in there. It looked like they were closing up.
Well, why was she standing by the fucking door with a great big tray?
I thought that was like a collection that she was like... They were like cashing it in.
Maybe.
But anyway, I went up to this woman. I said, "Oh, can I use the toilet?" And she said, "Oh, I have to ask this other man who seemed to be like... He was like the head honcho, and he said, "Oh well, we don't normally do this sort of thing. It's not it's not proper protocol, but
I said usually
we don't do this sort of thing."
He said usually we send people to...
Oh yeah. Yeah. But he
Tell the listener. He said usually we send people to the McDonald's down there.
yeah, that's right, to the McDonald's. That's right. And I don't know. I think he took a shine to me and said, "Oh, you can go in there." And then,
did you get any sort of pedo vibes off of him?
Well, as I was leaving, he says, where are you off to? What are you doing now?" So asking where I was going.
Oh, that's a gay vibe though. That's not pedo.
Well, not pedo. I don't know.
You're not as young as you. You don't look as young as you.
I'm not assuming that I'm a child. I'm not. I'm not that fucking stupid.
But maybe you've got a childlike. Maybe you saw your trousers drop and you saw your arse and you've got a childlike arse.
No, there was none of that going on. There was a big door that you shut behind you.
And what you were doing now, I was pissing up a tree.
Oh right. Well, anyway, it was cool that you let me use it. Anyway.
Yeah, man, cool dude. Did you high five him on the way out?
No, But he asked me, like, he goes, "Oh, where are you off to now? Where are you going now?"
I thought to myself we could do a review of churches.
Mm. From a completely unreligious viewpoint. That would be good.
But then I was thinking, well, aren't they all like sort of the same? They all do have that same smell, don't they? That same odour.
Well, I think the thing about churches, I really like. I'm not religious. Really, not. I mean, I'm not an atheist, but I'm not definitely not a Christian. But
you're a Muslim, aren't you?
I'm not a Muslim. But the thing I appreciate about churches is the atmosphere when you go into a church, which has obviously been kind of thought about, and the way they're constructed and the way that they have this, there's a definite feeling you get when you walk into a church.
Yeah, I'd say there's a feeling and an odour.
Yeah.
In the same way that like a lot of second-hand bookshops, like antiquarian, let's say, bookshops.
Yeah.
Well, their odour is different. It's a kind of damp,
musty.
Whereas churches have a kind of airy ambience, but there's also a sort of thickness.
There's a sort of solemnity.
Yeah, there's a kind of. I mean, they don't all swing the incense, do they? I don't know. I don't know too much about it.
That's.
Is that just the Catholics?
No, that's the Orthodox.
The Catholics don't swing the incense.
Do they? I'm not sure.
They did as well.
I went to a friend of mine. I went to his funeral, and he was Russian Orthodox, and they were big time doing the incense.
I mean, I do want to review, obviously, the Knights Templar place. We'll get back to that. I do want to review that, but I don't think doing a general review of like churches will necessarily go anywhere, because they're a bit like my dad said about porn films. You've seen one, you've seen them all, unless it's like.
No, I'll tell you a really good place if you want to go to.
I'll tell you a really good fucking porn film.
No, a really good. Well, it's not a church; it's a cathedral. It's Coventry Cathedral.
Oh well, that's a cathedral, man.
Have you been there?
No.
It's really good. It's like a modernist. It was built in the 60s, I think. Modernist cathedral. It's amazing.
Oh, modernist cathedral.
Yeah, it's fantastic. I saw a Sonic Boom play there.
I saw him play at. I saw Sonic Boom play at. I might have to bleep this because I don't necessarily want people knowing certain details, but I saw him at Holland Park Dome.
Right.
And it was really good, apart from it was Spectrum, but he did do this some Spaceman 3.
Mm-hmm.
But there was this prick right at the very front, like, who'd managed to get higher than everybody else. I don't know how. So like, you had the heads of the people, then you had this. You had the band, then the heads of the people, and then this knob, but you could see half of him, and he just kept shouting, "Revolution!" And but
too much.
Not just in between the songs. During this, like saying, "Please play Revolution." It's like fucking all the constantly. It was just so. It took away from the enjoyment of the show. Do you know what I mean? It was just like, shut up, you cunt. You know what I mean? I should have been drinking wine that night, because then I would have gone up to him and said, shut up, you cunt. Because the other day, coming back from Richard's, I don't usually drink wine, and I tried to start a fight at, outside. I feel a bit ashamed about it, really. Outside Kentish Town Tube.
Why?
There were these fucking beggars.
Yeah.
But they weren't. They were fucking posh cunts, I could tell. They were posh.
Beggars? Posh beggars?
Just fakers.
Oh, right.
Yeah, just like posh kids that decided to go and live in a squat.
Oh right, okay.
You know what I mean? And then like go and beg for, you know.
Trustafari.
Yeah, and he'd put his girl out to do it because obviously he thinks that girls can like
get the punters.
And I don't know why, because usually I would just mutter something and walk past, but it was the wine. I just started having a go at the guy, like, you give fucking homeless people a bad name, you lot. This went on for like 5 minutes, but like, when I was really trying to bait him into a fight, I was really staring him out, trying to bait him into a fight. But I think, luckily for both of us, the more pressing urge to do a big fucking dump was like rising in me at the same time. And I think I said to him, I've got to go for a dump. I'll be back. I'll be back like that because I really needed to take a fucking shit. So I had to run up to the Bulling Gate up there and fight, and then I fucking dumped out a massive big shit. And then when I came out, I stood there looking down at them and I thought, and then suddenly it dawned on me how like, kind of like, how ignoble it would be to get into a rolling around on the floor fight outside fucking at my age.
You should have just shit in front of them. That would be class. That would have been the true end of all endings.
I should have said, yeah, look, I've changed my mind. I'll give you some money. Give me a hat.
That's the move you should have done. That would have been class.
If you'd been there, I would have. You know, I wasn't that quick thinking. You know what I mean? I was just like, Christ, man, I'm gonna shit my pants. So that was the church. It was a nice church. After visiting the church, continue north up Kensington Church Walk, and that was quite a long walk, wasn't it? But you spotted these funny posters in the window, didn't you? Do you remember? Somebody had been nicking flowers.
That's right. Yeah,
and somebody had put
there was a flower. Someone put posters up in their window, at their house windows, after this flower thief. I thought it was quite funny.
Well, that's very amusing. I've got them here. I've got photos of them somewhere. Where are they? Here's one. Read it out.
Admirers present flowers. The mentally ill, challenged, steal them.
And it's what?
And it's got a picture of Prince Philip above it. For no reason whatsoever.
These are up in the window. They've got a flower thief around there. And there's another one. And the photo is that guy that died recently, the oldest World War something.
Oh, Major
veteran.
Tom, is it?
Yeah.
General Tom or whatever.
Yeah, and the slogan underneath it is, "Shame on those who steal joy and flowers. May they decorate their graves with them."
Yeah, I remember that one. Captain.
So now we're on the fucking lookout for a fucking flower thief.
Yeah.
You know, but we didn't catch it. Could have been anybody. We didn't capture them. To be honest, we didn't try very hard to find them.
That was a funny little sort of muse, wasn't it? It had like what was that shop there? Was it like a tailor or something?
I don't remember. Yeah, it was a sort of Ponzi. And follow the map with each up Camden Hill, Kensington's reputation as the residence of choice men of the capitals. Let me pause this. The houses are very expensive, like about £1 million. Larger properties can cost well in excess of that. The reason for Kensington's popularity with London's wealthier classes is largely attributable to William III's chronic asthma. For the sake of his health, the king decided to leave his palace at Whitehall and live in rural Kensington. You see, that now you've got that kind of dissonance and disconnect, because it ain't rural now. It was rural back then, you see. He bought Nottingham House in 1689 and began its transformation into Kensington Palace, which lies to the west of Kensington High Street. And because he moved there, all of his courtiers moved there, and soon it developed, blah, 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 blah. So you've got townhouses and squares to keep up with the demand. Within a few decades, many of Kensington's orchards and fields have been built over. And by 1705, John Boack, whoever he is, described Kensington as having an abundance of shopkeepers and artificers, which makes it appear rather like part of London than a country village. And of course now it really is. You know, this just shows you the
transformation of time.
Yeah. During the 19th century, Kensington became part of London. Between 1801 and 1901, its population grew from 8,500 people to 175,000 people in 100 years. In 100 years, its population increased by about 169,000. Wow. The monarchy resided at the palace until 1760. Diana liked it, Princess Diana. God rest her soul. Where were you when Princess Diana died?
I know where I was. I was actually very close to where I live now. I was in a shoe shop in Whitechapel, next to Whitechapel, not Whitechapel. Where is it? What's it called? You know where the Whitechapel Gallery is?
Yeah, of course I know where that is.
It's the tube station next door to the Whitechapel Gallery. It's not Whitechapel.
Aldgate?
Yeah, I was at Aldgate in this shoe shop, and it just came over the radio. Princess Diana.
It was a Sunday, wasn't it?
Is dead.
Yeah.
I remember it very well.
I was getting my dick sucked by I was getting my dick sucked by two males fighting over it. The Japanese one punched the English one, and the English one got up in a half, and then it came over the radio. So yeah, there you go. Just a moment of silence for Princess Di.
I mean, when Princess Diana came to Colchester, one of my brother's friends made these, photocopied these posters, and it said Lady Di, but D-I-E. He put them all around Colchester.
Wow.
Quite prophetic.
Was he anti-royals?
He was generally a, non-conformist. He now runs the Colour Out Space Festival in Brighton.
What? What's this Colour Out Space Festival?
It's like an alternative music festival.
Is it?
Yeah.
Well, does it go every year?
Yeah, it was going. I'm not sure if he's still doing it.
Yeah, I've never heard of it. It's funny because Colour Out Space does come up in this walk. But I'm not sure when. Anyway, so before walking down Campden Hill, one of the most prestigious parts of Kensington, look out for the blue plaque at number 80 commemorating the controversial writer and journalist Ford Maddox Ford. Not least of his controversies was the fact that he lived here with his lover, Violet Hunt, when his wife refused to grant him a divorce. His novel, The Good Soldier, is still considered one of the greatest works of the 20th century. I've never read him. Have you ever read him?
No. But Ezra Pound's house was down that alley. Just around, we were in that. It was one of those houses.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a nice place to walk around, listener. Like even if you're not stunned in amazement at everything that you're taken to. Holland Park comprehensive, blah blah. Holland Walk, a lovely tree-lined path that runs from Nottingham down to Kensington. Ground houses. Fort Lodge remains one of the school grounds. This is once the home from 1984 until his death in 1950 of Montague Norman, for many years Governor of the Bank of England, and a controversial character because of his alleged assistance to the Nazis before World War II. But before World War II, you know, the Nazis were just a political party. I mean, you know, lots of people. I mean, Hitler. I mean, those Olympic Games and all of that. Do you know what I mean? So it's not. I don't see that as particularly necessarily controversial. You know, I mean, nobody knew what the Nazis were doing to the Jews, did they? Particularly, it certainly wasn't the reason why we went to war.
I'm not getting into Second World War stuff.
You're not going to get into it? Okay. Across Holland Walk, you reach Holland Park. Any particular reason why you're not going to get into it?
It just bores me to death.
Okay, fine. Holland Park. Now, it would be good if the Terroriser was here, because he had a lot to say about this. So, shall we... Well, let's he can come and do it. He can do his bit when he gets here. But anyway, so we ended up at Holland Park. Now, shall I just read, or do you remember anything? Before I read, just give you a general feeling of the park.
It's a very nice park. But as we were walking through the park, sitting on the bench, having a little snack with the people that we'd met at the beginning.
They were sat on a little park bench.
Yeah. And I stopped and I bought a croissant and a coffee.
And we went, but we had I certainly thought that we had walked on a little further and we'd got a better place to sit than they had.
Yeah.
Because we were sat on an old stone wall looking at a big fountain, whereas they were sat on one of these park benches where all you can really do is look down at your sandwich. But it was baking hot at this point, wasn't it? Baking hot,
yeah,
sir.
And there's a really nice... they've got like a little kind of garden, you know, like a flower garden. It's nice.
Yeah, we were staring at a big fountain thing going off and all the rest of it. So the Terroriser has more to say about this when he arrives. The superb park occupies the former grounds of Holland House, the latter largely destroyed during the Blitz. The old east wing can still be seen, however, and part of it now serves as a youth hostel. Well, I didn't notice that. The original Jacobean manor was known as Cope's Castle and was built around 1605 by Sir Walter Cope, a courtier to James I. His ghost roams the grounds. We didn't see any ghost. I didn't see any ghosts, did you? Do ghosts only come out at night?
I've never seen a ghost.
You've never seen one?
No.
Would you like to?
I'd love to see one, but I've never seen one.
Do you believe in them?
I kind of think the idea of ghosts is like... I believe in like spirits. I don't believe in like visible ghosts. I don't believe it's true.
What about the stone tapes and their theory of... What's the theory in the stone tapes? That if something has happened, something crazy has happened in a certain location, and the vibes get... It's a long time since I watched it, to be honest. The vibes get sucked into...
I don't know. I've just never... There's no, I would love to have... I wish I could see one, but I've never seen one. But, yeah, there you go.
When Cope died, the house passed to his daughter, wife of Henry Rich, 1st Earl of Holland. It's while the house was occupied by the 3rd Baron Holland of Holland. Baron Holland of Holland. 1773 to 1840, a major figure in Whig politics, that it became a glittering literary and political salon. The poet Lord Byron, Prime Minister Palmerston, Charles Dickens, Sir Walter Scott were regular visitors at the lavish gatherings held here. He says, the writer says, the best features of this park are the orangery, the Kyoto garden, and the excellent children's playground. It's also open to an open-air theatre. So, okay, well, we didn't see the Kyoto garden. Well, maybe we were at the orangery. I don't know, but there were fountains there.
Yeah, but there was a really nice flower. Yeah, it's like it had been gardened to accentuate the flower. I think they were tulips. It was nice.
Leave the park on the south side, down Melbury Road, once the centre of an artist colony during the 19th century. Stop at the junction to see two grand houses immediately on your right. Yeah, now, well, this was Jimmy Page's Tower House, it's called, where he had a run-in with... No, this is another point where this guy who's written a book is a fucking dickhead. Because next door to Pagey is another big house that was built for Sir Samuel Luke Fielders R.A. And he, in this book, he claims it's owned by Michael Winner, who either you or Richard, or both of you, piped up, Michael Winner's been bloody dead for years.
Yeah. Yes.
And not only that, but there's been a massive thing in all the papers about how Robbie Williams owned it, and has been having a massive Barney with... Robbie's been having a Barney with Jimmy.
Yeah. Yeah, Michael Winner's been dead for fucking ages.
In this book it says, the house is now owned by the film director Michael Winner. It even gives a born 1935 here, and not a death date.
And when did this book come out?
2020.
Poor show. Poor show.
Very poor show, sir. A very, very poor show. Leaves a sour taste in the old palate. Puts a sour taste in the old gob. So we've already spoken about Pagey's house. Well, next door is another house that's much more obscured by trees and foliage and stuff. But Michael Winner did have it. Then, well, not necessarily then, but now Robbie Williams has it, and Robbie Williams having a Barney with Jimmy Page, because Robbie Williams wants to have some fucking basement swimming pool orgy room built.
Yeah, and it's going to disrupt the foundations and stuff.
Could very well do. Could very well do, but they seem to. Last I've heard, they've come to an agreement. I don't know what it was, but Page even broke his notorious. You know, he was on the news saying, "This is come on, I have to protect this place because his place was built. The Tower House was built in 1877 in a 13th century French Gothic style by the eminent Gothic revivalist William Burgess, described as the greatest of the Victorian art architects. Burgess built the house for his own use. In the 60s it was bought by the actor Richard Harris, who renovated it using the architect's original design.
Are you talking about Jimmy's house or...?
Jimmy's house.
Right, yeah.
And then Harris sold it to Led Zeppelin legend Jimmy Page, who is said to have outbid David Bowie for the property.
Wow, they all wanted it.
Yeah, just like that groupie.
Yeah, they wanted a bit.
But Jimmy Page was saying, look, I have to protect this. I can't just have, because it's very delicate in there. All of this. So good on old Pagey. And at this point was again where we bumped into the odd couple. The old odd couple.
Yeah, they were coming around the corner.
Well, they'd missed it.
Yeah, no,
we had to redirect.
Yeah, and we were saying, we know what you're looking for.
Yeah.
We've been there.
Yeah.
Watch out, because Jimmy is like he was into the black magic. He was a big Aleister Crowley fanatic.
Well, yeah, I said, watch out, Pagey's about.
Yeah.
I mean, I was shouting, Pagey, trying to get him to come out.
He wasn't coming.
He wasn't coming out, but Richard said, well, we saw a light on in there. There was a light on in there. So someone
Someone was in there.
Someone was in there.
On the old gargoyle cam.
Yeah. I think I noticed it. Swivel to like follow our movements. I think I did. Continue down Melby Road and turn right along blah blah. Number 12 is Leighton House. This was all covered with scaffolding. Inside, it's a marvellous Middle Eastern sort of. There's the picture. We've got marvellous Middle Eastern designs and stuff, but it was shut. We couldn't get in. We couldn't see that.
Yeah, that'd be worth going back to and have a look at.
So yeah, it was owned by a guy called Lord Leighton, Frederick Lord Leighton, a sculptor. Superb Arab hall inside, built to his dazzling design, a collection of tiles bought in the Middle East, but he was knighted in 1878. Unmarried, so he might have been gay. A bachelor. Bachelor in those days. I much prefer a bachelor to... Bring back the bachelor, that's what I say. And give straights back the gay.
Bachelor Boy. Oh, that's why Cliff Richard did Bachelor Boy.
Yeah, well, I don't like the way that the word gay has been taken out of general usage. You know what I mean? I think that's horrible. I'm a bachelor. Let's steal this word gay, which you don't feel gay all the time. It's a rare feeling. It's a rare feeling to feel gay. You know what I mean? Like, you know, and like you could be like Mike Tyson, and he's come out on a lovely summer's day.
Yeah.
Just hits you that right moment. Yeah. Very numinous.
You're out there with your pigeons.
Yeah. How you up on the rooftop? How are you feeling? Very gay. Very gay indeed. You know what I mean? And it's been taken away from general usage. Now it's like, now you have to be a man who sticks his dick up another man's arse to be gay. And not only that, if you do that, you have to be that all the time. How gay? I'm pretty gay. Oh, fucking bachelor, right? Fuck off. Cough, you cunt. I'll do a poo in your hat. Do a massive poo in your hat, a big one. Follow the map, head down to Edwards Square. Covers 3.5 acres. It's deserted by the Frenchman Louis-Léon Changeur. Changeur, as a Frenchman working in London during the height of the Napoleonic Wars, had to endure cruel gossips who claimed he was building the square to house the officers of Napoleon's army in the event of an invasion of England. An Act of Parliament in 1819 regulated every function within the square, including the requirement that residents sweep outside their houses before 9 a.m. every morning or face a fine of 5 shillings. I think we should bring that back.
What was that? Face a fine of 5 shillings for what?
If you don't sweep outside of your house before 9 a.m. every morning.
Yeah, that's good discipline.
Yeah, to bring back more of a community spirit. All the people don't give a fuck these days. They buy their cheap chicken, they chuck the box over their shoulder, and they just do shit in an alley and just like go blearing off, going, who gives a fuck about anything? Who cares? We're just in a nihilistic culture where everybody wants to just be some kind of like fishnet reality star slag, you know, these days. Some people say, have you heard this theory, Simon, that modern art and all of this was like a psyop by the CIA?
I haven't heard that, no.
I've not heard that.
For what reason?
To atomise society, and thus the powers that be have more control over it, because a nation divide and conquer, the old saying. If you can divide, then, do you know what I mean? Then you can control much easier.
Well, I know
people can't. They've got nothing to band together to take over.
But I know the Nazis they hated modern art, didn't they? They thought it was degenerate, and they wanted to ban it all. So that wouldn't sort of, I don't know. If they were wise, they wouldn't have done that, would they?
we'll get back to that later. And this is where we first spotted, down this road, was the strange flowers, the strange purple flowers.
Oh, those, yeah.
Made me think of Colour Out of Space.
Oh, right. Oh, yeah, because, what's his name? What's his name?
Lovecraft.
Oh, the artist guy.
Which artist?
He wrote Colour Out of Space.
H.P. Lovecraft.
Was that H.P. Lovecraft?
Yeah.
Oh, right, okay. Sorry, I was thinking of someone else.
Yeah, no. H.P. Lovecraft wrote Colour Out of Space. Yeah. I don't know why purple would be the colour out of space, but in the recent film, that's the kind of nearest they could get. Anyway, there was all this strange kind of these strange flowers that grew out of great big, craggy, twisting wood that sort of clung to the sides of the buildings, wasn't it? And once you'd seen it, you could not see it. It was everywhere, all around this locale. We walked past the Scarsdale Tavern, which is supposed to be one of the most atmospheric public houses in Kensington. Good place for a refreshment break. We didn't. This is a break, though. Here he is, Ricky Stitch, Mr. T, the Terroriser.
Mr. T, the Terroriser.
Hi, Richard.
How are you?
Good? Yeah, not too bad.
Panic, because I just had to drag his bag up here. You can sit there. Oh. Can you reach over there and the plug that goes into the Can you push it in? The one that's hanging down. No, further over. But don't touch the keyboard. That's the one. Do you want to talk about your youthful hijinks in Holland Park, or do you want to brush over that? Because we haven't mentioned it. Well, it used to be a homo cruising ground.
Oh, it did. It was. I saw in the paper because 2 days ago that school we walked past, and we thought, is that really a school? It looks so huge.
In industrial.
Yeah, it was in the paper for being the socialist Eton, full of scandal.
Yeah, I remember.
Tony Benz and his children, all these socialists to the posh.
I remember the school. Yeah.
No, it says it in here, the socialist Eton.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, you sure you saw it in the paper?
Yeah, it was in the paper because
It's an old champagne socialist.
they've been abusing the children and abusing the teachers, and it's sex abuse and bullying.
When was this?
2 days ago.
Well.
There you go.
Are we recording?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you dirty bastards. But it used to be a gay cruising ground, didn't it, Holland Park?
That lane, he said.
Late night, yeah, after the club, after midnight. Yeah. The Holland Park walk.
But then they'd jump into the park to do the doings.
Yeah, or they'll go home.
Or they'd go home.
Or
Did you ever see the ghost of Sir Walter Cope in there, or hanging around?
no.
You saw a few ghostly figures. You saw a few things that looked dead. And so that was back in the the 80s?
Yeah, it used to be
Okay.
packed. It's quite social and
Yeah, in the park. Not just on the walkway. I'm
The-
asking you.
oh,
The lane was the
lane. Was
yeah.
The lane.
Yeah.
It was all going on in the lane.
Lover's Lane. Lover's Lane. Hey, there's always a Lover's Lane, isn't there, they say? I don't know. We've only got this to go.
Chance of putting the kettle on.
I don't have a kettle.
We'll just put your press on.
Oh, what the hell is this? You're the terroriser. You don't buy kettles, you bring terror! Does it say it lasts longer than the other one, or will it just break down like the other one did?
Yeah, I think it's the same one I've got. And mine lasted. It says I'm guaranteed for 3 years.
It's Russell Hobbs. It's quite a good brand.
Well, I have to keep the Old Hob is the name for the devil.
Is it?
Yeah, that's why in Quatermass it's on Hobbs Lane.
I got my kettle's that similar style. I bought it from Sainsbury's.
Because before I bought this sci-fi Star Trek-y kettle,
Blade Runner.
Blade Runner, yeah, light up and was clear, but only lasted a year.
Yeah, my one's that sort of style, but it's red. But it's lasted it's longer than 3 years.
Well, you can go and plug it in if you want. Go on. Be my guest. We will continue. We will continue this. Wrong one. Where are we? Scarsdale Tavern. Follow the map for a few minutes to reach Lexham Gardens. I don't know, it just talks about Cornwall, typical of the huge white stuccoed mansion blocks that dominate parts of Kensington. We sort of overshot the mark, then we had to walk back a little bit, my fault.
Oh,
we
it's
were,
Benjamin Britten's house.
well, because those wonderful trees were bashing us in the eyes, weren't they? Like they were bashing the sky, bashing the eyes. They're like these curled fists, aren't they?
Yes.
Waving. And I felt you saw them bashing the skies, but they were bashing my eyes. I felt. Thackeray Street to reach Kensington Square, probably the finest square in the area. and was first developed in the 1680s. Now this is where there was that nice park where I thought, I could have a slash in here.
Oh yeah.
But it was a park where you had to have the key, and these people were just coming out, and they could see me doing the need a piss dance, jigging from left to foot, right foot to left foot.
And they made a great show of locking the gate.
Locking it up. And the philosopher, political economist lived at number 18, John Stuart Mill. Liberal philosopher, I think. Don't quote me on that. It was here that one of literary history's greatest disasters almost happened during the 1830s, when Mill's maid accidentally used the only manuscript copy of Thomas Carlyle. Oh yes, John Stuart Mill. He was a great right-wing thinker. His book, The French Revolution, a History, to help make a fire. Carlyle left the manuscript with Mill for his comments and had kept no research notes. Devastated, he had to be persuaded by an embarrassed Mill to start afresh, and the end result was arguably Carlyle's finest achievement. The composer... Now, I liked this as well. I mean, you're just looking at a plain-looking building, but the composer, Sir Charles Hubert Parry, 1848 to 1918, lived at number 17. Parry is probably best known for the choral song Jerusalem, which is based on William Blake's 1804 poem Milton. And did those feet in ancient times tread upon England's pastures green?
That's the one Jordan sang in Jubilee, or mine.
Yeah, well, it's hugely famous, Richie.
And
It's about England being a new Jerusalem because of the myth that Jesus did make it here, and I think so, and plant a kind of a flower in Glastonbury, I think, or something, a tree or something. I don't know. The song was written by Parry. Well, it wasn't written by Parry. It was
Just Blake.
Yeah, it was excerpted. He wrote the tune. In 1916, when morale in England was low due to the losses of World War I, Blake's poem had become popular after being included in a patriotic anthology of verse. It's a shame that he didn't make any money in his day, poor old Blakey. And also the composer Vaughan Williams used to come to this house for his music lessons as a boy. And what's he famous for, Vaughan Williams? Begins with Peter something? Peter
in the Wolf.
Not Peter and the Wolf. That's
Peter and the Wolf. Peter.
I'll pause just so we don't get the clatter of the...
Sorry, listener, don't worry about that. Didn't come to anything. Vaughan Williams used to come to this house for his music lessons boy. On the southwest corner of the square is the convent of the Assumption. You went in there?
Yeah.
What was it like to see a lot of sexy nuns?
There was like, no, you can't actually go in there. You go in there and there's like there's a glass, a massive wall of glass that you can't get through. There's like a door.
So you can look, but you can't touch.
You look, exactly. And then, as I was coming out, that woman was there.
The old lady!
She'd returned. She'd come, she'd obviously caught up with us.
Yeah. And the old man was sitting out.
Yeah, he couldn't continue. But it was interesting to see her again.
Yeah, and she listened in while I did a little talk about Hubert Parry and that.
Yeah, and I felt like I should have, I could have.
Well, in the end, because at the end when we sat outside the pub, she walked past again. Yeah,
and I thought, this is such an odd thing to have happened.
I didn't even know her name.
Yeah, I should have just got a name and found out a little bit about her.
Ships that passed in Kensington.
Yeah.
Church Convent of the Assumption, a religious order of nuns that has been based here since 1869 and has its origins in a French order founded in Paris in the 19th century. Hidden behind the convent is a large garden that is about the same size as the private square at the centre of Kensington Square. Both gardens are closed to the
Amazing.
general public except for certain days. And you can find out by going on the interwebs. Walk around the square and head up Young Street. On the left is a Georgian house at number 16 that is now part of an American college, but which once was home to the great Victorian writer William Thackeray of Vanity Fair fame. I've never read it. He wrote part of his most famous work, Vanity Fair, while living here between 1846 and 1853. He lived there from 1846 to 1853. That's 7 years, and he could only manage to write part of his great work during all that. Thackeray walked past the house with a publisher after having moved away and remarked, "Down on your knees, you rogue, for here Vanity Fair was penned, and I will go down with you, for I have a high opinion of that little production myself." I wonder if they did both then get on their knees. I've never read it. I've read Bonfire of the Vanities. I wonder if it has a similar satirical tone, because it's like taking the piss out of the mores of the. Maybe it's the. I don't know. It was at this house that Charlotte Bronte came to dinner in May 1850 after having dedicated Jane Eyre to Thackeray. However, Thackeray became so bored with the conversation between his guests, who included Thomas Carlyle amongst his number, that he sneaked out and went to his club nearby instead. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that. You can leave anything. You can leave anything. A job, the cinema, a conversation, anything you want at any time. Now, we stopped for a pint here, didn't we? And Richard bought some chips.
Yeah.
Damn, I have to cut that out. The Terroriser bought some chips. And you shared them.
Yes.
How were the chips, Terroriser?
They're very good chips.
Good chips, were they?
Yeah.
And then, now, this has, for one thing, this has been the ultimate walk that has showed us that this guy is a fucking bullshitter. Because A, Michael Winner's been dead for bloody years.
Yeah.
He does not own that place. And then he says, walk back up the square and on the northwest corner head up Derry Street. Just on the left is the entrance to the Kensington Roof Gardens, one of London's most amazing open spaces, described as an urban oasis in the heart of London. The gardens stand 100 foot above street level and on top of the old Derry and Tom's department store. The gardens were laid out in the mid-1930s and cover 1.5 acres, offering fantastic views across London. Amongst the lush plants can be found exotic birds such as flamingos and pintail ducks. You can visit whenever a function is not taking place, so ring ahead to avoid disappointment. And I did ring ahead, and guess what I found out? It's been shut for fucking 5 years.
It's a shame, because that would have been perfect ending.
Well, Richard has tales to tell about
Yeah.
that.
Oh, it's my favourite club venue.
The Terroriser has something to say about that.
Why am I the terroriser?
This is T, the Terroriser. Right. Ricky Stitch has something to say about that.
No, it's fantastic. But there used to be a Sunday gay club in the 80s, but it was £7 to go in, which was expensive in the early 80s. But you got a roast dinner for that. at
Full
night.
roast. Full roast.
Yeah. With roast.
Did you get pudding?
Yeah. And you took your tray out into the gardens, even if it was through the winter or summer, and it was just
And did you
amazing.
see these fancy birds that he's talking about?
I think they must have been asleep. I don't remember.
Flamingos and pintail ducks.
No, I don't remember them. I remember there were still some Andrew Logan sculptures in the garden from when it was Bieber, but apparently most of them were thrown out when Bieber went out of business. But it was a magical, felt unreal.
And it's a real shame it was shut.
Yeah, no, because when I read almost all of this before going on the walk, and I thought, oh, that would be great. So I did ring ahead. It's been shut for 5 years.
How many yet?
5.
5.
Yeah. Dead website. You know. And for us, that was the end of the walk. There was another further place which we decided not to go to, and I'll tell you. And maybe we were wrong, maybe we were right, but it just seemed like, you know, we'd done our circuit.
Yeah, I was desperate to use the toilet.
Right.
When it
Brings us all the way back to the beginning again.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then we sat in the little gardens there, on a bench that faced another bench that had all the writing on it about some lady that had the bench dedicated to her.
That's right.
And we read it, and then this little girl came along. She must have imitated us, but jumped on trying to read the writing, but she was obviously just making up sounds. So that was funny. And that was it really. Then Ricky Stitch jumped on a bus.
I got on a tube and you walked home.
I was a little piggy that went wee willy all the way home. And that was that, dear listener. It was a lovely walk.
It was.
Good walk, yeah.
Historical, amazement-wise, I'd only give it a 6 on that level. But it was a very nice walk.
Yeah.
You know, it wasn't all.
It wasn't. You weren't like kind of. There wasn't like big things all the way. Like
No.
the main thing was the Jimmy Page house, really.
The church was nice.
Yeah.
The Jimmy Page, the house where Jerusalem was written. I mean, I guess it depends what you're into. I mean, if you know about Thomas Carlyle and all that, then you'll like. I mean, I'm aware of people that do. I don't know them personally, but then you'll be like, oh, the book nearly got lost here and stuff like that. So.
But I'd like to find out that couple. I'd like to find out who they are. I will never know. So always be thinking about this
We coincidentally meet
odd
them
couple that
on
I
the
met
walk.
on that walk.
We've done lots of the walks now.
We're nearly finished.
You got 1/3 left. Yes, they'll be done by the end of this year. That'll be it. Well, there you go, dear listener. See you next time. That's goodbye from Beamish.
Goodbye from me.
Goodbye from
Ricky Stitch.
Ricky Stitch.
Always knitting something together. And goodbye from me, Baleful. Let the clouds pass and let the sun shine.
And see you next time!